Kiki.
I'm Light Within the Darkness, Sue.
Hi, I'm Kiki, also known as
Our first tea and books.
Ooh, tea and books.
Yes, with our cute cups.
Yes. Before tea
So,
cannot.
would you like to discuss your tea first?
Sure. What is it exactly from Tivana? It is a Maharaja Chai Oolong.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It is very nice and spicy to keep you awake, according to the fact that I got it in the awaken package thing, but I'm not sure I quite buy it. Still, it's very nice and spice flavored. Lots of cloves and cinnamon. And
Good tea
my
for
mug,
fall.
since you cannot read it, says a book a day keeps the reality away.
Oh, I love that. So true, though. We all need a reality escape.
We do.
I have my little Gigi cup, and my tea is pretty simple today because I've had like 3 cups. So I did my black tea because I ran out of my Earl Grey today. So I have my Tazo black tea that I love dearly, so it's keeping me awake. I've had lots of studying today and lots of papers that I still have to finish editing, so there's that.
Don't remind me about the phonology reading I have to do for tomorrow.
Well, today we're going to discuss first our end of the summer top reads, and then segue into our top reads for fall. We're also going to discuss our book of the month. Well, technically book of the summer, I guess, that we kind of ended up doing. We finished it at the end of the summer. Hunter by Mercedes, is that Lackey?
Mercedes Lackey.
Yes, so we're going to discuss that before talking about our anticipated fall reads. And hopefully it will be an exciting discussion. So,
hope it'll be fun. So do you want to start with your top summer reads?
Sure. So my top summer reads, I didn't get to read as much as I liked because I had a lot of classes this summer. But the ones that I read were Strike the Blood, a light novel. I got into those. So I finished reading Strike the Blood while I was on a plane ride to New York. And it is a light novels are short little books from Japan that have been localized by Yen Press. And this one is also has an anime that has about 2 seasons under its belt, and it's coming out with an OVA later this year, I believe. And it's about this guy who suddenly becomes one of the most strongest vampires ever. And he kind of has to deal with that while also being babysat by one of the strongest vampire controllers ever. So anyway, it's a very interesting book, and I enjoyed it. So that was one of my reads. The other read that I did a lot of. I guess I finished. What was the one that I finished on recently? I finished a whole series of like 5. I finished a mini series of manga that was really good. Servamp that I really enjoyed, and that was pretty quick. It's fairly new, so I would recommend checking it out if you like vampires. I'm kind of was on a vampire kick for a little bit. I don't know why, it just happened that way. And then the last book was, of course, Hunter, and I finished that last week, and it's was really good. I enjoyed it, and there are some things that I was kind of on the fence about, but overall it was very good.
Well, I also didn't read as much as I like, although that might be more due to fan fiction than classes or anything like that.
Fanfic. That's good.
It is. I also went on a bit of a comic book binge this summer for me. So a couple of my choices are actually comics. The first one, I also went on a library binge because I had access to a very nice local library, and frankly, I am a poor grad student and libraries are cheaper than buying books. So I don't
hole of buying books. I have had to stop buying books, and I have not bought one of the books I wanted this fall because I've bought so many books this summer. So
Yeah.
good.
At any rate, I do not actually have copies of my top summer reads, or several of them. The first one being Wayward, Volume 3 in specific, but the entire series really, by Jim Zub. And this is a really interesting one because I'm a fan of Japanese culture. Wayward operates on the premise of you have your main character who is Hafu, who is half Japanese, half Irish, if I remember correctly. Yes, Irish. Who leaves her home in Ireland and moves to Japan to live with her mother. And then, well, I won't say hijinks ensue because hijinks implies that it's funny. Yeah, this is not funny.
It would be like chaos. Chaos ensues, maybe.
Chaos ensues. I can't tell you a lot without spoiling the entire premise. And frankly, the entire premise is too awesome to spoil. But she gets tangled up in the doings of mythological Japan, only it's still the modern era. And yeah, chaos, traditional Japanese folk characters like Kitsune, Tengu, and Tsujigumo, oh my. Noraihyun even makes an appearance or two or three, or major antagonist. No big, right? But it's really entertaining. I've really enjoyed it. It should be said that of the 3 volumes that are currently out as the trade paperbacks, like not the individual issues, but the volumes, book 1 is probably the weakest. It's got the catch of you have to establish everything, and that can take some time. Of my personal favorite character doesn't show up until volume 2. So
it can go both ways. You can have the first book be slow and then second book great, or you can have the first book be really great and the second book be slow.
Right. So that's the case with this one. It's this first one's meh, it's good. I wanted to keep reading it, but it wasn't amazing. And then the second one came, and it was like, oh, this is amazing. And then volume 3 came out at the end of May, early June, but for various reasons, Barnes & Noble didn't carry it. I couldn't get my hands on it until August, right before I moved down here to New Orleans. But volume 3, it isn't as good as volume 2, but it's better than volume 1. It's still really interesting, and things have gone to HE double pocky sticks in a handbasket. And spiders are evil.
Next time, honestly. I've heard very good things about Wayward. But I've been stuck on my manga binge ever since.
You should.
I've been stuck on my manga binge since Bleach ended, so I've read Pieces, which was really very good. And then I read, of course, Bleach. I read probably like 10 volumes at once. So I can have more binge in my free time. Well, shall we talk about Hunter then?
Well, let me mention the actual solid book that I read and that I enjoyed most. And it's also the only one of my summer reads I have.
Oh, yeah, that one.
So this is Exile for Dreamers by Kathleen Baldwin. It's the second book in a series called The School for Unusual Girls. This is sort of an early Regency era, like Napoleonic Wars type. And it's really good. I should say first that I did get this out of a Goodreads giveaway.
She was super lucky. I could not believe it.
Neither could I. Got the email, but you won. That actually happens. Like, people actually win these things.
I've never won anything in my life. I'm jealous.
Either way, I can't give a super detailed premise because this is book 2, not book 1. Sorry, I did like book 2 way more than I liked book 1, so there you are. But there's prophecy, there's spies, there's swords, there's love and romance. This is a really solid movie. That's how I would classify it. That being said, go read it.
And if you have read book 1, you could probably check out. Do you have a review on Goodreads already for it?
I definitely have a review for this one. I believe I have one for the School for Unusual Girl as well. You can find me through Goodreads. I'm Keely there too.
You can check out our page, Magical Aspiring Authors, and our reviews will be under our names, and you can find out more about the books that we're talking about.
Great.
I've reviewed Striped Blood on there, so you can check out my full review there.
That being said, shall we move on?
Yes, we can talk about our technically summer book of the month, I guess.
Let's hear
Book months book.
So this is Hunter by Mercedes Lackey. It came out last year, around this time actually. And Bree, do you want to start? You already talked a little bit about it for your summer reads.
Yeah, I actually got it on Kindle, so I have the Kindle copy.
That's why I'm holding it up for you.
Yeah, so mine's copies on my iPad. So I finished reading it last week, and the thing was that it was very hard for me to get past the first 2 pages. Believe it or not, I was having a really hard time with the writing style. Like the first few sentences, like I wasn't able to get into it until I got to till page 3. So that was a little different. I wasn't sure why at first I wasn't really dragged in. I thought that the way that she had set things up was very, very well done. It grabbed you immediately, but the way that it was phrased, I guess I had a hard time. So that was my issue at first. As it got on, I felt that the writing got better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that was just my initial impression. I don't know why. I just had a hard time for the first 2 pages. Yeah, so the writing style for me was something, I think it's because it was my first book that I'd done in a while where it was written in first person. And I'd been reading narratives for the past 2 years. I'm sorry, that's my dog.
No longer have a pet.
So, yeah, I guess that's probably why I had such a hard time. But it's well written. It's just it took me a while to get into it with the writing at first. I also didn't like some of the terms that were in there. There was religion brought into the book, and I didn't appreciate the nicknames for Christians because they were singled out specifically. And I think it just kind of made it feel like there was a sure bias, I would say. So it may have been just my impression, but it kind of made me kind of cringe a little bit for the first few pages.
Well, on the Christer thing, because that is the term they use for Christians, and it is all but bluntly stated that these are Latter-day Christians. What I thought was, I think we might be getting a setup for something happening later on, not in a Christian way, because I'm pretty sure that Mercedes Lackey is either Wiccan or agnostic of some variety.
Yeah, I could tell with the writing that there was a clear derogatory, I guess. It was supposed to be they were singled out specifically of all the religions, Christians, and kind of was generalized, so I wasn't necessarily, I mean, everybody's entitled to their own thing, but specifically for me, it kind of made me cringe a little bit because I was like, oh, this is really obvious, and but it works for the story, so it really made sense, because people can get very radical in their religions for sure,
And in all fairness, the circumstances of Hunter, this is a post-apocalyptic
It
fan.
was very much in line with post-apocalyptic anyway, so it made sense.
Right.
It made me cringe a little bit.
Other thing that I would note is that Christianity is one of the religions with the strongest end of the world dogma. Like, this is what's going on.
Mhm.
And so it sort of makes sense, but at the same time, as a Christian, I was like, thanks.
It just kind of made me cringe a little bit. I was like, oh, I mean, you're singling out so obviously. It would have been fine if, like, every single one was kind of, I guess, well, I mean, even I guess it was because mainly with the character's point of view, so that makes sense.
Right.
But honestly, it works either way. I think it's just me personally, it took me a bit to kind of get past it, I guess you could say. I just kind of had to compartmentalize it.
Right. I didn't
really frame it around the post-apocalyptic as well, because I'm just not used to seeing that as much. Because I tried to kind of steer away from anything that's, you know, geared towards a certain viewpoint that's like super obvious, I guess, because I'm exposed to that all the time. So I guess I just kind of, that was one thing that I was like, ugh, with, and that's about it. The rest of it, I loved the world building. It was fantastic. It was so inventive and very much fresh and new interpretation of mages, which I thought was really cool. And I loved the hounds.
The hounds were awesome.
Yeah.
First of all, I've got to say that I didn't mind the Christian Chrysler issue quite as much, but then I tended to think it wasn't seriously overt. Like, we didn't get Pullman levels of let us bash you over the head.
It just took me within the first few pages really to get used to it. I'm not saying that I really had like a huge issue with it. It was just kind of like, oh, okay. And that was it. It wasn't like a negative per se. It was just a personal, it's going to take a minute to get used to. Yeah.
For me, it wasn't as much of an issue even. I accepted it as part of the world, especially since we were doing that first-person stream of consciousness type, no, not stream of consciousness, just the first-person narration thing. And it's pretty dang clear that Joy, our main character, is, I would say, somewhere on the atheism scale. Probably
Like, honestly, I kind of felt that he had a little bit more Buddhist influence.
Yeah.
In terms of bringing, I would say, not necessarily her personal views.
Right. Like,
yeah.
With some Buddhist tendencies. This is a girl who doesn't really believe in God. So I could get where her dislike for the Christers comes in, especially if she hit the right types, so to speak. Yeah. And it's implied she did hit those types. But other than that, as Light Within the Darkness says, really excellent world building, which is pretty characteristic of Mercedes Lackey. I'm a longtime fan of her stuff, which is why I picked it up, Hunter up as soon as I saw it. World building's rock solid. I really appreciated the new take on post-apocalyptic. Ever since the Hunger Games, we've gotten so much of class warfare. We've gotten so much wasteland, everything. Everybody's fighting for their lives, and they're surviving by the skin of their teeth. And this one's like, well, most of us are pretty comfortable. Yeah, sure, tech sucks if you're out in the boondocks, and you're not as well off as if you're in Apex. But yeah, you can survive if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and what I kind of liked about it was that the world was kind of more mysterious and, I guess, open and vast in comparison to feeling more isolated, like with the Hunger Games, and a little bit with Divergent. I felt that was kind of isolating, at least in the first book. Mm-hmm. So this kind of, even though it took place more in Apex than anywhere else, you kind of knew that there was more than just that area, and it kind of opened things up.
I mean, you open on the train, knowing that these people have access from the Rocky Mountains to get to what I'm going to hazard a guess is probably somewhere in New England. these people know that have access to the whole bloody continent, except for California, which is now an island. It's not like a massive destruction like you saw in the Hunger Games. Another thing I really appreciated was that the focus, frankly, wasn't on the destruction of the world. It was really on, okay, we now have a supernatural threat because this thing happened. Let's deal with it. And I really like the subplot of to keep people from figuring out what's going on. They're using YouTube and social media, basically.
Which kind of fits with, it's kind of a different take on like with how the Hunger Games tried to do social media through like watching games through the Capitol and kind of going on the superficiality of things. And this kind of took it to a new realm, I guess you could say, because it was something that you could view from anywhere, and they would always follow the hunters wherever they went on their journeys. And they weren't necessarily, they kind of had a little bit more of a free mind, I guess, to do what they would like at first, of course. I mean, things kind of went crazy later on, but I kind of felt at first it was a little bit more freer than some of the other dystopians that I'd seen.
Right. There's definitely room for social mobility, which isn't something you get to see so much in these. Also, the fact is, I really got an immediate comparison to our paparazzi culture. Like, you know how we basically stalk celebrities already? Now you have a group of ready-made celebrities called the Hunters, and you're essentially, they're stalked by cameras. And they know this going in, sort of. They find out real fast that, yeah, you're going to have to play the game if you want to be trending. And if you don't want to be trending, because most hunters aren't, then you're not as good. So it's easily implied that you don't have to fight your hardest. You can totally be less good than you are so people don't pay attention to you, if that's what you want to do. Then there's also factors of
danger as well.
If you don't play the game, like White Knight doesn't play the game because he's a Chrysler and he's like, I don't give a damn. I don't want to be here. I am not playing the game. So he doesn't, and there you go. He doesn't have as many of the problems that Joy does because she's doing her best, and she's doing her best in a very flashy fashion, and she plays the game. So
and she's too good for her. She's too good.
She's too good for her own good.
She ends up being too good for her own good, basically. So we don't really. Do we want to go into spoiler territory? Do you think, or should we just kind of leave it at what our overall rating is, and then move on to fall reads?
Let's do overall rating, move on to fall reads. Maybe if we have a bit of time left, we can circle back and do some spoilery fangirling.
Okay. So overall, I think I would give the book probably 3.5 because I am very optimistic about it. Maybe 3.8. I would say 3.8. Pretty close to a full 4. I'm very optimistic about it. I'm only docking it a little bit because I had a hard time getting into it at first with the writing, but that might have been my own fault. But it just was I guess I'm rating mainly just my experience at first. So overall, I love the world building and the characters, and I do really think that it has great potential. It was crafted well in a way to where it can build up to great things in book 2.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give it a solid 4 stars. I mean, this meets most of my requirements. It's fantasy and sort of post-apocalyptic, which I found would be a cool mix. It's by one of my favorite authors. I didn't have the problem with the first-person narration because I've been reading those for a while, so...
It's been 2 years for me, so it's probably mainly that was the reason.
Yeah. This is good enough that I read it at my library. Then when I got back to Oxford, Mississippi, where I used to live, I went to the local independent bookstore, Square Books Junior, but you should totally go there if you're ever in the area. It's an awesome bookstore, and bought it. No questions asked. It's like, yes, I need this to be mine. I need to own it, and I don't do that very often with books I read at the library.
And the cover's gorgeous. I mean, I love the cover.
It is. It's beautiful, and this cover, it must be said, does go with it, which is important.
It's gorgeous. I do love the cover, and I love the cover of the second book as well. They're both very consistent, and they look nice on your shelf. I don't have them right now, but I might get them in the future if I have the money. Yes, they just match so well. It's great.
Yeah, it's really awesome. So I'll go ahead and give it the solid 4 stars. All right.
So
making those
fall read.
Most anticipated fall read for me is hi. I first read Hunter back in March of last year, or March of this year, and my immediate reaction was, "There's going to be a second one in September 20." So I've been waiting for this one. What about you?
Well, I have a couple that I'm really looking forward to. One I don't have on me right now is, well, I had wanted to read the next book in the Throne of Glass series, but I still have to finish Queen of Shadows, so I can't. So, yes, Queen of Shadows would be something that I would like to tackle. And then Empire Storms by Sarah J. Maas. So I'm hoping for that. And then I picked this up recently, and there's going to be a movie coming out. It's called When a Monster Calls. Yeah, just A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. And I got the illustrated version, so it has really, really pretty artwork in it. And it just seems like super fascinating.
Oh.
Just kind of, and it's supposed to be a book that makes you pretty much cry your eyes out, so I'm going to have to pick a day where I can just binge it and cry and get the feels out. But it has won both the Carnegie Medal for Literature and the Kate Greenway Medal for Illustration. So, and it's pretty highly touted by most people on Goodreads. And the trailer for the movie looks amazing, so that's kind of why I picked it up. I got it with my 40% off coupon, so that's what I'm looking forward to reading. And then my other one that I am like super, super, super need to get started and read is Crown's Game. Like, I've been putting it off, and I'm very interested in reading it. And it is kind of like a super... Well, I guess the thing that really interested me about it is the mage battle. There's going to be mage battles, and for the Crown's Game is the chance of a lifetime for these two main characters, and it takes place in like an alternate Russia, I believe. So I'm very interested in it. I want to read it and just see what I think. I mean, the cover is gorgeous, so I bought it based on the cover and a couple previews that I got through email, so that's what I'm looking forward to. And that's about it for now.
Okay, so for my next one, going off that Russia thing, there's a book that is coming out September 20th called Vasa in the Night by Sarah Jordan. I'll try to link the Goodreads page down below. But it is a retelling of the Vasilisa the Wise legend, which is Russian, hence why Russia. It's about an alternate universe Brooklyn, where magic is a thing. So I studied Russian. I have my minor in Russian. I've been to Moscow. I've been to St. Petersburg. I like Russia. I was really disappointed by the last Russian fantasy novel I read.
Oh, is that Smoking?
I'm sorry, the Grisha trilogy. I couldn't do it.
The Grisha trilogy. I have those on my shelf right down there. I have
them too. I find that sort of thing really interesting, and the Vasilisa the Wise Tale is one that we don't get so often, and so I'm really eager to see how she does it and how it works out. So September 20th, I'll be buying a new one. Yay. Um, I'm also looking forward to the Crooked King. I need to go back and read Prose. I'm hoping that I will like these better than I liked the Grisha trilogy, but I'm cautiously optimistic because I've heard from people who didn't really like the Grisha trilogy. They were like, yeah, Crooked. This one's good. This one's good. So
yeah, I've seen a lot on it.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. So, but I'm really looking forward
to it as well. Everybody has been saying that it is a very much a step up from the other books in the Grisha world. So I'm optimistic in checking it out eventually. So that's on my future list in the future.
And for comics, because there is one thing out, the third book of the third trade for Gotham Academy, which is my favorite comic series to date, is coming out in late September, early October, and I'm so seriously looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's thing. Yeah, I haven't picked up any comics. I've been doing a lot of binging. I'm really bad with that. I've been binging too much manga online. So I finished Sir Vamp and Bleach. Mm-hmm. I'm almost done with Bleach. And I will probably go back and do probably a shoujo. I've been kind of getting into some one-shots.
May I recommend Kanasakara?
Which one?
Kanasakara. I think the English title is From Far Away.
Oh, okay.
Where are you on this bookshelf, Imani? Here you are.
Oh, yeah. I've been looking at that one. Yeah, I need to check that one out.
My fave. Nice.
Okay, yeah. I'm reading that one next. Yeah, because I was wanting to go back and read Shirayuki Hime, which was Snow White with the red hair. I was interested in picking that up again because more chapters came out, so I'm going to check that out. Other than that, I'm also thinking about finishing up the Irregular Magic High School Volume 2 because up to Volume 2 because I'm in the middle of Volume 1. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much all my anticipated reads for fall. On a side note, a book that is technically coming out in fall but is going to be on my winter reads list, which is also a preview for what we're doing in the future, is Spice and Wolf Collector's Edition. It comes out in October.
And
it has all 17 volumes in hardcover. Wow. So that is something that is coming out, and we have the first few books in the series, so we are thinking of going over that, I think, going through those in the winter time.
Yeah.
So that's something for our winter preview.
You're thinking of starting those in December, right?
I think December, right?
We're gonna do December. We're gonna do Spice and Wolf as sort of our December wintry novels. We're also gonna start trying to do these monthly.
Yeah, we're gonna try. Well, it's kind of crazy. I'm trying to graduate from college, so
yeah, she's trying to
course semester.
I'm getting
my teacher
dive face first into PhD work. Time is not on our side. That being said, next month we're going to be doing Elite.
Yes.
End of September, early October, expect this one. Then for October, we settled on, what did we settle on?
We debated about doing, what was it? We thought about The Book Thief, but we hadn't really we had just decided on winter, I think. I think we were being optimistic with finishing Elite, and then we were going to add on once we finished Elite.
Right. So
after Elite, we're kind of deciding between books on that one.
Right. And then, so tentatively, I'd schedule Book Thief for somewhere between November and October, hopefully. And then a Spice and Wolf is going to be the winter one. So we should be able to schedule that for winter break or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be since I get done in the last week. No, the third week of December. It's going to be kind of crazy. So,
in here.
yeah. So that is what we're planning for the next tea and books.
Yes.
So I think that is all we wanted to cover this time. For an overview, we really enjoyed Hunter. That was a really great read for us, and we're looking forward to finishing Elite.
Yes.
And that will be our next discussion, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And anything you would like to add?
No, the summer was really good for books for me. I'm trying to catch up with newer releases, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen. And life is about to get really busy, and I say this as somebody who moved last month.
Yeah, I hope I can get some reading done. Anyway, thank you for watching, and also please don't take my criticisms of certain things in the book to too much heart. I mean, I have my opinions, and I may not agree with everybody else's, and that is okay. I just had a little bit of a cringe-worthy moment, and that was about it.
Yeah, that does tend to happen.
Anyway, it was overall, I really enjoyed it.
Yes. You really enjoyed it?
And that was fun too.
That being said,
close off
for tea and books.
For tea and books.
We'll next time.
For next time, hopefully we will have more to discuss. And more tea.
And more tea.
Goodbye.
So, in the meantime, bye. This is me signing off, and have fun with your tea and books.
Signing off.